defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
As Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. Do me a favor, smash the like button. Make sure you're commenting any thoughts, opinions, viewpoints, anything as this video goes on. Appreciative of you lot tuned in. Once again, smash the like button. I know I can see it in front of you. Well, I can't, but hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, because by the time you lot see this, there's probably a bag of content now. At the time of making this video, it's 9:30 in the morning. We might as well go over the latest Arsenal related talking points, people. So let me share my screen with you lot and let's get straight into it. First things first, we all know Rhys Nelson is allegedly in talks to sign a new contract at Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal offer Rhys Nelson a new contract extension despite his big part role for the Gunners this year, but doubts remain over the winger's future, with the two parties yet to reach an agreement over a deal. As we know, these things take time. There's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross. You know, the client, or better yet, you know, Rhys Nelson and his advisors, they might want a bit more wages. Naturally, as a business, which I hate to refer to Arsenal as, is in a sense want to pay a bit less. So there's a bit of negotiations. Obviously, Rhys Nelson has, apologies, people, the door opened. Rhys Nelson has made it clear that he wants to stay at the club. Obviously, you know, there's a case to be said if you remove emotion from it. While Rhys Nelson is favoured by Mikel Arteta and things like that, are you guaranteed to start week in, week out? Are you guaranteed to get significant minutes? Because you came off the bench against West Ham. You obviously are the star of the season, potentially, obviously, with the Bournemouth dramatics and whatnot. But has he got enough minutes? And at 23 years of age, the fact that he's been around the first team for a while, and I don't think he's got 100 club appearances, maybe tells you that if, I'm not saying you shouldn't stay at Arsenal, we're going to be in the Champions League, you're a boyhood Arsenal man, Arteta likes you, we need squad players, but maybe he's got a lot to decide, people, and maybe he needs to look at it without emotion. But apparently there's doubts remain, and we're going to go over it. There's a bag of teams interested in him, people. He's been linked with Aston Villa's Unai Emery, well, reunion with Emery at Aston Villa. He's been linked with potentially joining Jose Mourinho at Roma. Jose Mourinho has been linked with Paris Saint-Germain. He's been linked with Aston Villa and Brighton, and historically he's been linked with Brentford and a number of European clubs. He's been linked with Celtic, as you can see here, people. A bag of teams, as I just said, have been interested in Rhys Nelson. Again, interest and actually putting offers on the table, which, you know, is a completely different thing. For me, we probably should give Nelson a deal, just because we're letting him, no matter if it's 10 million or whatever Rhys Nelson would recoup, we're letting money go out for free. He's English, there's homegrown reasons to keep him. We need squad players and whatnot. Arsenal have offered Rhys Nelson a new contract, but there are doubts. There remains doubt, over the winger's long-term future. Mail Sport revealed last month that the club had open talks with the attacker, whose existing terms expire at the end of the season, over a new deal, and the Gunners have now made an offer. The 23-year-old's preference is to stay at the Emirates Stadium despite his bit part role under Mikel Arteta. Obviously, some Arsenal fans, we could probably do with another multifunctional attacker like Trossard, or maybe another striker, whether you're a winger, a 10, a striker, a forward, whatever you want to refer to these as. You know, there's only so many of you that could start a game and so many that can come off the bench, because as you know, we need a couple of other options. So if he's made it clear his preference is to stay, that's obviously a strength in Arsenal, an ace in Arsenal's pack, essentially. However, an agreement has not been reached, leaving his future uncertain, with his deal running down until it's signed. Of course, there's going to be uncertainty. It's understood the Gunners have offered Nelson an increase on his current deal, which is believed to be worth in the region of 35 grand per week. The lines of communication between Arsenal and Nelson over an extension remain open, but it remains to be seen whether an agreement can be found, folks. Aston Villa, Fulham, West Ham, Brighton are among the teams interested in taking Nelson on a free transfer ahead of next season. There's also interest from Europe, with AC Milan also monitoring his situation. However, the forward is settled in London, and it remains to be seen whether Nelson would consider a move abroad at this stage of his career. Obviously, if he wants to stay in London, he's been linked with West Ham and Fulham, Brighton, Brentford as well, but Brighton isn't that far from London. You know, Graham Potter was commuting from his family base in Brighton all the way to London. You know, Southampton, by that logic as well, isn't that far from London. So probably does stay in the Prem. We're letting money go out the window. I mean, where you look at Balogun's contract 2025, Rhys Nelson, we probably need to be a bit more proactive and get these guys to sign deals before it becomes talking points. Obviously, with Balogun scoring 17, 18 league goals, and with Nelson, obviously, you know, doing what he's doing towards the end of the campaign. Now, obviously, Arsenal clearly weren't 100% convinced to commit to give him a new deal. And this season, in my opinion, it's almost a marker. Again, if you show your potential, you show the ability you have, you show that you can be part of this squad, then you probably will get a new deal. So we'll have to see where Nelson's concerned, people. We've been linked with Zaha. I don't buy these rumours, but for what it's worth, Marseille have joined Arsenal in the chase for the Crystal Palace winger, people, as his contract runs down. And the French club could also offer him Champions League football, which allegedly is a massive carrot for the guy. He's been linked with Arsenal. I wouldn't say it's the worst of signings. Premier League proven, Arsenal fan, you know, doesn't kill the pathway of any emerging talents, multifunctional player. With his career winding down, there might be a sense of urgency. We've seen what signing Premier League players has done for us. For me, though, I do feel, not that I care about how much you get paid, but for the wages and the role he would probably play in the squad, until I see different, I don't think it's worth it, if I'm honest with you. And I just think naturally you can see Zaha losing a bit of that explosiveness. So I think the boat's kind of gone. You know, when we didn't sign him in 2019 because Crystal Palace played a bit of hardball over his future, it's probably a myth. My guess is he goes abroad, but you know, he's an exciting player. If Arteta wants him, why not, really? And if Nelson was to leave, for example, then you get another attacker in who can play up front. He's rejected a move to the Middle East where he would have earned 9 million a season, people, after tax, which would have been good. He's been linked with a whole host of clubs being a free agent, people. So yeah, that's Rhys Nelson and Zaha. In relation to another winger from South London, Elise is ready to snub Arsenal transfer this summer to stay at Crystal Palace and continue dazzling form. I mean, he'd be a great option to have in place of Saka. I think Arteta, he's a blank canvas. I think, you know, Elise has the base talents. He's got good passing range. He wants to make the difference. He's got the right temperament. You know, doesn't seem to be fazed by much. Fairly fearless. What we've got at this club, can play as a 10, could develop to play as an 8 one day. I think his future lies either in the 10 or out wide. He'd be a good addition. But for him, it probably makes sense to play week in, week out at Crystal Palace, keep developing, and the move will happen. You know, he's done it the right way at Reading, now Palace, etc., etc. Crystal Palace have removed that release clause of 35 million quid, so it makes it difficult. And I just, you know, I think he does show a willingness to actually go the other way as a winger and defend and whatnot. So I think there's a lot that Arteta would like about him and a lot of Premier League clubs, but he's ready to stay at Crystal Palace, which it makes sense. You've got a good thing going for yourself. You've got stability, keep developing, and everything will take care of itself, really. In relation to Declan Rice, apparently Arsenal are the favourites to sign Rice to their to sign Rice, and are the favourites to add Rice to their midfield options this summer, when West Ham are resigned to cashing in on their talisman, who has rejected multiple offers of a new deal. I mean, in terms of an audition, I think Caicedo's had a great audition last year against us at the Emirates and played well against Chelsea. We saw live what Declan Rice could do with his intensity on the ball, his pressing metrics. We all saw him press Partey into that mistake, essentially. Quality player, really. And if anyone wasn't convinced on his talents, you saw live across 90 minutes. Obviously, there's so many things to like about Declan Rice, and he's got a good foundation. And I think Arteta could get a new tune out of him. Respectfully to West Ham, they don't play football like us. They're not on the front foot as much as us. So you'd see a decent Declan Rice, although second half against them lot in our last game, boy, I don't know where that goes. If there was an extra incentive to make an impression, it showed inside 60 seconds as Rice set about his business with the enthusiasm of a schoolboy footballer on a day when the girls have turned up to watch. The 24-year-old, though, has already done enough to convince many eager suitors, with it having been clear all season as the star player in a mediocre team, and in England, colours a bit harsh, one of the best in a good one as well. Arsenal are confident their swift glow-up has fast-tracked them to the front of the queue, and even made a half-hearted approach in January with only faint hope and not an ounce of expectation. Had they succeeded, the most certain aspect of sliding doors moment is that they would not have been pegged back here. Fair enough, big him up, really. Declan Rice is certain to leave West Ham at the end of the season. With Arsenal's interest the most advanced, Rice is excited by the prospect of a move. Now, someone like Rice is going to have a lot of suitors, so I want Arsenal to go all over him and Caicedo and do what you can, but you have to be prepared to A, move away, and 2, for Declan to say, do you know what, I want to go elsewhere. Nothing is signed, and as we saw with Cody Gakpo, with Mudryk, to a degree, João Felix, for the clubs they were projected to join to where they actually joined, two different things. So paper talk and what's actually happening in the back burners of the footballing world are two very different things. Nonetheless, Declan Rice is excited at the prospect of joining Arsenal in the summer. Arsenal are the front runners for the signature of the West Ham star, according to the Mirror. Allegedly, people, he's excited by it by such people. So we'll have to see exactly what is going to happen there. But until things are signed, who knows? Newcastle are to rival Arsenal for Declan Rice and Caicedo. I mean, and other Premier League stars. Newcastle, you're being greedy. Could you imagine having Caicedo, Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes? You add a little wavy number 10 that's a bit different from them. Bro, Newcastle, I respect it, but leave it alone between you and Chelsea. Newcastle are reportedly planning a huge summer spending spree with several Arsenal targets on their shopping list, people. So we'll have to see. They want Caicedo, Rice. I would take Bowen as well. You'd be a good right wing option to compete with Saka, and he's shown it every time he plays against us. I'm a big fan of Maddison and Barnes. Don't think that's for us. Mitoma, wavy as well. They're also looking at Scott McTominay, Conor Gallagher, Arsenal's Kieran Tierney, and Calvin Phillips. You know, Newcastle are scaring me. I would love for Newcastle to be spending mad money. I'd be more confident that they're not a threat, but they're doing the right things under Eddie Howe and co. And they've also been linked with Gabby Vega, who's also drawn interest from us as well. The inclusion of Rice and Caicedo are particularly noteworthy, with one, if not both, heavily tipped to join league leaders Arsenal in the summer, with Brighton rejecting a 70 million bid for the latter in January. People will have to see. Obviously, there's FFP to compete with for Newcastle, wherever you're at with that. That can always be manipulated. Jamie Carragher, I mean, he's a pundit. Last time I checked, he weren't an agent, but he's added in. He said it might be a little more than that in relation to Declan Rice. He said, in relation to Declan Rice rumours, he said there might be a bit more than that. And I don't think there's smoke without fire. There's clearly an admiration for Declan Rice to join Arsenal and for Arsenal to buy him, people. But who knows? Declan Rice did say in December, I've been playing consistently well for my club, and I feel like I really want to keep pushing. I see my friends who are playing in the Champions League and for big trophies, he said, ahead of the Senegal game in the last 16. You only get one career, and at the end, you want to look back at what you've won and the biggest games you've played in. Fair enough, people. Fair enough. Pardon me. It's going to come down to money, really and truly. David Moyes, when asked, said, I hope not. I hope he sees out his time here. But look, there's a lot of talk about it. And when you see what's going on about for the prices, I think Deck will be blowing that British record out the water. That's for sure when it comes in. I mean, unlike Caicedo, Rice has an option of another year, but his contract is running down. Brighton are going to be in Europe in some capacity. Hopefully they get Champions League. West Ham, unless they win the conference or not, obviously they're fighting relegation. What Brighton are doing off the field, you know, and what they're doing on it is completely different from West Ham. I think Brighton are in a stronger negotiating position for Caicedo. Caicedo has also signed a new deal. I think Declan Rice is more likely to push for a move, although despite signing the deal after the whole circus in January, you can't rule out Caicedo doing such as well, people. They're off topic. There's rumours that Zinchenko will be back for Arsenal's Friday night game against Southampton. Bring him back, man. You know, respectfully to Tierney, we saw what we missed. In relation to Balogun, Sky Sports' Dharma Sheffer said he's 21 now and 22 in July. It'll be interesting to see Balogun's mentality on whether he wants to go out on another loan or come back and fight for a first team place at Arsenal. If you look at it from the outset, how many opportunities will he get? Or will he think he needs a clean break in the summer and move to a club where he'll be at for at least 3, 4, or 5 years to build his career with? I think it's going to be an interesting summer. While we don't know what's going on, there has been rumours if he's not guaranteed first choice striker and first choice minutes, he wants to leave. Again, cut Balogun the courtesy. It's not the time to talk about his future at Arsenal or any other one's future. The season's still going on. And until he comes out and says these things, rumours are subject to speculation, and these players are going to hardly come out week in, week out and squash it. But if we was to sign another striker, which we've been linked with, and we get top bread for someone in red hot form, then I wouldn't necessarily be against that. Arsenal are planning to meet with the agents of Ryan Gravenberch. Arsenal are planning to meet with the agents and reps of Bayern Munich midfielder Ryan Gravenberch ahead of a summer move. He's tipped to move on from Bayern Munich after failing to kick on since sealing a £16 million move from Ajax. A number of clubs are keen on the Dutchman. Reports over the weekend have suggested Liverpool have spoken to Gravenberch's reps already, and that Klopp is a big admirer of the young midfielder. Again, Football Mercato journalist Santi Ohona has said Arsenal and Man United are both keen on exploring a deal as well. And apparently the individual wants to play more, but there's also rumours of emulating out of Germany that he'll feature more prominently for Bayern Munich next season. So we'll have to see, really. I mean, he's not an idiot. When him and Tell the former Rennes striker, when they sign for Bayern Munich, they know that you're going to have, you're playing with some of the best players in the world at a team that's trying to achieve things. You're not going to play week in, week out until you're of a certain level. Camavinga, for example, had to be very patient at Real Madrid to a degree, Vinicius. So I'll be all for it. Fabrizio Romano has weighed in and said Ryan Gravenberch is not happy with his situation at Bayern. He wants to play and there's not enough space for him in the squad. He'll have a conversation with Thomas Tuchel towards the end of the season to determine his future. The situation is open. Bayern think he's a top talent and this is why they'll fight to keep the player, but Premier League interest is there. And Sky Sports have actually said Gravenberch has somewhat had his head turned by Liverpool people. He's enthusiastic to a move to Liverpool and Anfield after a strong pitch, people. Apparently his rep explored loan options in January, but the Bundesliga club were not permitting a winter exit, people. He's enthusiastic over the opportunity to steer his development back on track at Anfield, with Liverpool having made a strong pitch to the players' camp to sign him from Bayern Munich. I mean, a lot of players indirectly are going to be fielding talks with agents, but on for what it's worth, Liverpool have gone one ahead, didn't it, really and truly? So we'll have to see. Apparently, he's just been afforded 711 minutes of playing time since his transfer, and he's going against Goretzka and Kimmich. That's two quality midfielders, people. We'll have to see. Apparently, his agent met with Liverpool at the turn of the year, and apparently Liverpool, the club, engaged with his father, who still guides his career. And I mean, Liverpool's a massive club. They need midfielders. If you look at it, there's a rebuild there. If you're Caicedo, Declan Rice, etc., one advantage I think Liverpool had is that there's no guarantees, but there's almost guaranteed minutes there in the midfield, and that's not there at others. Apparently, Bayern's public position is that they won't listen to offers for the player, but they are unable to offer him game time as his reps work on a solution. Ajax are also understood to have a 7.5% sell-on clause, so again, that is going to filter in the transfer fee. Liverpool are not the only club to inquire over Gravenberch, but are conscious of competition they will face for targets this summer and the scale of the rebuild that awaits. The club have made a head start on their recruitment objectives. He is one of several options the club are exploring, with at least one defensive signing also expected. He's a better version of Pogba, allegedly, this is said. And obviously, he's worked with Ten Hag before. He has a lot of capabilities, especially in an attacking sense, but he understands hard work, physically imposing. He's agile as well as an elite ball carrier and receiver, having largely operated on the left-hand side of a double pivot. Gravenberch can play across midfield and is very active at link-up in the final third. A progressive passer that instigates and build-up play. He uses his body clever to either disguise where he wants to supply the pass or protect possession. I mean, you should be able to do that if you're a top-level footballer, but, especially him playing on the left-hand side, I'm sure many Arsenal fans listening, smash the like button, are enticed by that, people. And when you look at him in Ajax, people, for passes completed in the Eredivisie, at the time he ranked 8th. He was 3rd for final passes completed. Not really too much in terms of assists and goals. He ranked 12th and 42nd. Take-ons completed, he was 2nd. So I'm here for it. If we could show him some love in relation to what we're doing at Arsenal and develop him and refine him, then we're cooking. There's resale value, there's scope to grow, all of that sort of stuff, people. Once again, though, Liverpool apparently have spoken with Gravenberch advisors and he's reportedly open to a switch to the Premier League. So Liverpool appear the front runners. Fabrizio Romano has said there is nothing advanced between Arsenal and Victor Roque, whose priority remains Barcelona. The Gunners have the Brazilian connection with Edu, but they also have Jesus and Nketiah and Balogun up front. So it remains to be seen whether this will be a priority for him. I understand English clubs are entering the race, as it's not clear if Barca can afford Victor Roque due to FFP issues. I mean, with the way they're able to manipulate things financially, I don't think it'll be a thing. Keeping up the theme with strikers, Arsenal are ready to spend big to sign Vlahovic this summer. Arsenal are still super keen on bringing Vlahovic to the club this summer. Amid reports Juventus could be forced into a sale. Reports out of Italy say, I mean, I would have him if we could let bygones be bygones. If Mikel Arteta still wants him, I just doubt the credibility of this, because it's not worked out at Juventus. They find themselves struggling, probably not going to be in the Champions League. Maybe that's the bulk of the rumours. He rejected us, so maybe we've left that one there. Unfortunately, allegedly, William Saliba is still unlikely to be fit for the Manchester City clash on April the 26th, which is Manchester City's next game in the Premier League. We have Southampton in the meantime, and we need to be winning in that. Vlahovic, again, he's been linked with us for 80 million quid, 18 months after he rejected us. In relation to Camavinga, apparently his agent has labelled talks of an Arsenal transfer garbage, people. Let's see specifically what Mr. Barnett has said. He has said rumours on Arsenal move in January, that was garbage. It's something that wasn't going to happen. He never thought of playing for another team, and Real would not let him leave. Again, Real Madrid is one of them clubs. When you look at a lot of exits, so you look at Ozil and Di Maria, they kind of force you out. Very few opportunities are there for the player to leave. Obviously, they let Casemiro and Varane go. They're exceptions to the rule, but you're at Real Madrid until there's no use for you. And again, they'd be crazy to let him go. They'd be crazy to let him go. We all know those rumors came over, lack of playing time and things. He's found himself playing left back, the hybrid role, and obviously in centre mid. They'll be crazy to let Camavinga go. Absolutely crazy to let him go. I mean, if you let him join us, I'm all for it. To call this man quality and say he has all the potential in the world still ain't doing him a justice, in my opinion, people. So we'll have to watch what happens. But we all knew it was garbage. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. So yeah, we'll have to see what's going on. Please make sure you've commented any thoughts. Let me know how you feel in relation to Declan Rice, Camavinga, Caicedo, Gravenberch, anything we've discovered and discussed in this. Again, make sure you've turned on your notifications. There's a bag of videos to come out from myself by the time this comes out, people. Appreciative of all the support you lot give my channel, to my consistent viewers. Appreciate everybody tuned in. Hope you lot have a great day. You and your loved ones remain in good health. Smash the like button, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Stay blessed, stay safe, have a great day. Attack the week and move that much closer to your goals, hopes, dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. We'll link up again soon. But for now, DG, I'm out.
There's always that active red flag, defending.
I think it's like